What's up, Diablo 4 players? Today is our lucky day. This is the massive mega update that essentially was hyped up, and I think it does live up to the hype as there's a huge amount of buffs for every single class. Some skills even going up to 45% increased damage. This is massive. So let's go ahead and start off the video by going over the overworld changes that applies to every single class, and then we'll go into every single class balance update. But there are things in here that are very important, even at the start here. So starting right off, this patch just came out today. It's available for console and PC, so it's all platforms, and these are the changes. So starting right off, there's a bunch of different dungeon events and other activities that got basically fixed. If you were stuck on a certain quest, certain things weren't appearing. Sometimes I'm sure some of you guys maybe went to an event and it would not start. A lot of these kind of issues are kind of expected to be fixed, and they did fix a bunch of these. Sometimes there was certain health bars that wouldn't appear. This kind of just gameplay fixes that we expect to actually see, but there are some important things on the Paragon board as well as in the actual game that actually do matter. So starting right off, this is actually important. With the Skeletal Warrior upgrade, the Thorns damage doesn't actually apply apparently previously, and this is actually going to be changing. Another thing that did get a buff is on the Sorcerer Paragon board, it doesn't add the base crit for the Burning Instinct power, so that's going to be a nice little buff. It's a small amount, but nonetheless, these are kind of like actual things that do matter in the game. And there was another bug that got fixed where rogue players would remain invisible to other players after concealment would actually end in the Fields of Hatred. So essentially that would be a nerf to rogues, but most of them don't even play concealment in PvP for the invisibility. It's just to break the CC. Nonetheless, there are some issues with local co-op where like certain cutscenes weren't loading properly, but again, most of these are kind of like things to be expected to be fixed. Other quests would actually not be able to properly be finished. That has actually changed as well. Changed some of the things in the UI where cross-play, different notifications. These are like really small updates. They're, you know, nice to have, but I just want to go over these like kind of rapid fire because most of you guys probably want to see the other patch notes, but this is important to go ahead and mention. Certain cosmetics didn't really like, I guess, apply. They have certain things where the randomized look and body swap actions in the shop didn't function when viewing cosmetic armor. Again, these are like small things, but let's go over the core section of the video now, which is coming down to the gameplay adjustment. So they've significantly increased the experience reward for completing a nightmare dungeon. So this is going to be a lot better. And on top of that, they significantly increased the experience gained from killing monsters in nightmare dungeons. So not only at the end you get more XP, but also on top of that, the monsters give more XP. And then Hell-Tide Chest now provides substantially more bonus experience when open. So this could be another form of massive XP. We'll have to wait and see, and I'll test everything for you guys very, very soon as the patch just came out. And I'll let you guys know, like, is it better to maybe even do Hell-Tides versus Nightmare Dungeons? My guess is Nightmare Dungeons will be the core part of the endgame experience anyways, because you need to level up your glyphs. But they also significantly increase the reward experience from completing individual whispers across the board. So basically everything just got a massive buff. And on top of that, they fixed an issue where no experience was awarded by completing the holdout style event that can occur after finishing a dungeon objective. So that's going to be a nice fix over there. And then in general, the Helltide roaming bosses will now more consistently drop higher quality loot. This is something I've been mentioning. If you guys have been doing the Helltide, a lot of times I would say it's not even worth killing the boss if you can't kill him really fast, because they basically disable the ability for you to actually use your skills. It would daze you essentially with the boss. And then now they can teleport to nightmare dungeons directly through the map. So this is huge. That means when you open up a sigil, I'm guessing you can go straight to the dungeon. This is going to be a massive win for, you know, just XP in general, because you're doing it much faster. There's no 1 to 2 minutes trying to look for where you need to go on the map and get sucked by the skeleton that throws up its wall and then you have to go kill it. Nice. And then on top of that, weekly bonus caches from world bosses no longer have a level requirement for opening. I'm sure some of you guys maybe got a cache that you could not open up because it had a level requirement, specifically I think at like 80. But nonetheless, this is a nice change. So now we're going into the balance changes. This is why you clicked on the video. So let's go ahead and kick it off from the top to the bottom, starting off with the Barbarian. So with our skills, we have Lunging Strike. We got a base increase in damage and extra Fury generation. You're going to see this across the board. A lot of these will have 10% increased damage, and then 10% increased like generation if they are increasing the generation. So Lunging Strike buff. Bash, we got a buff. Again, just basically the same numbers over here. But then the Enhanced Bash Fortifies increased from 10 to 20%. So that's going to be a nice little buff. Frenzy, we got a 2% change. It's a small one, but hey, it's, again, it numerically goes up to 10% of its previous one in terms of values. Then Flay, we got an increase to 4% off of the bleed, and then we get extra 1 fury, again 10%, and then the enhanced flay's vulnerable chance has increased from 10 to 15%. That's a 50% increase in terms of stats. That's huge. Then double swing, we got a 4% increase on the base damage. Kick's cooldown got reduced by 4 seconds, and the base damage dealt to enemies knockback in terrain increased from 54 to 70%. Then with charge, the enhanced charge base damage dealt to enemies knockback into terrain got increased, so it's essentially doubled. And then leap, the mighty leap slow increase from 50 to 70%, so it's a buff over there. Then we have Iron Skin, basically doubling its stats. Instead of 10% of your maximum life, 20%. Call of the Ancients, the bonus attack speed got doubled over there. Iron Maelstrom, the cooldown is reduced from 60 to 45, and then the bonus crit strike damage got increased by 20%, and then on top of that, crit strike damage got increased by 20%, so increased crit strike chance and damage. And then Bounding Slam, we have the base damage increased. And there's also legendary aspects that did get changed for specifically the Barbarian. So starting right off, we have Bolcathos, the Earthquake flat damage increase over here from 0.39 to 0.76 to 0.6283. So in terms of numbers over here, and I know it sounds really small, but that's like how the item power works based off the item power. Like you're thinking probably, well, it gets increased by not even 1 damage, but it's it goes from 0.76 to 0.83 at the highest end. The way it works is, this is a better way to look at it, because it shows off an 820 item power. So instead of it being, let's say, at 1700 to 3400, it's now 2600 to 3700 points in damage. So that is a massive change. That's like 1,000 increase, so maybe like a 30%-ish bonus on like the lower end, at least. That's a pretty sizable amount, but in the higher end is a little bit less. Nonetheless, it's a buff overall to these skills. So, in terms of the aspects, so we have the Earthquake flat damage increase, the Earthquake flat damage increased again. This on Bolcathos and Earthquake, and then Dust Devils. This also got a small little buff. Windlasher also getting a buff. Devilish, Iron Warrior, all getting just numerical changes, so the damage reduction increased. So Barbarians actually have a lot more survivability. And then on top of that, Overkill, the damage increased from 16 to 30% to 24 to 38. On that, and then the Hellhammer, the flat damage is increased by 0.3 to 0.5 to 0.6 to 0.8. So those are the changes with the Barbarian. So no nerfs to Fury or Whirlwind. Those are probably still going to be arguably the most popular skills. This is going to really change the Barbarian. It's, again, nice buffs overall, more survivability, a little bit more Fury generation for those of you that still use a generator. So it's like, okay. Next up on Druid. So here's the buffs for the Druid class. So Earth Spike, we get increased base damage. This is a small one, 1%, but the Spirit generation, again, 10%. And then the Earth Spike Fortify has been doubled from 4% to 8%. Then with Wind Shear, we have a base damage increase by 1%, and then Spirit generated went up 1%. And then the Claw, we have the base damage getting increased by 2%, Spirit generated increased by 1%. Then we have Wild Claw getting a 50% increase on the double attack chance, which can be actually kind of good if anyone gets that unique. So maybe someone out there will actually use that unique. I think it's a staff that gives you a bunch of ranks to like that. And then Fierce Claw base damage is increased. So again, it's pretty good for the unique, but there are unique changes in here as well. So I'm really excited to check out all those. So Maul, we got a base damage increased by 2%, then Spirit generation increase, the fortification increased by like 50% of its previous stats. And then Lightning Storm, we have enhanced Lightning Storm duration increase from 4 to 6 seconds, and then Primal Lightning Storm's chance to immobilize is increased from 8 to 12%. Then Shred, we got third attack, so 10% more damage. Over here, we get to heal for 2% of our life versus 1%, so it's like double the stats. And then we have Raging Shred's base damage increased by 19%, and then Primal Shred's bonus crit strike damage is increased by 10%. So Shred looking a lot better. Multiple buffs over there. Then the Wolves, they changed the cooldown by 3 seconds, and then Ferocious Wolfpack Lucky Hit chance got increased to 40%. That's a huge amount from 10%. And then the Hurricane got increased over here. The base damage, that's a pretty sizable amount. That's actually pretty solid. It's like almost 40% increased damage right there with Hurricane. Then Rabies getting increased too by like 20%. Cataclysm getting a almost 10% bonus here. And then Lacerate, we got the base damage increased by 60%. That's a pretty big amount right there. That's one of the higher ones. Maybe Lacerate will see a lot more play now. We have Petrify, the crit strike bonus got increased by 5%. And then Pummel, the base damage got increased from 140 to 180. Then Bestial Rampage, we have attack speed bonus increased by 5% and damage bonus by another 10%. Nature's Fury, chance to cast a free spell increased from 20 to 30%. Then the Lupine Ferocity, damage bonus increased by another 10%. Then the Legendary Aspects, the Runeworker's Conduit, we have the flat damage increase from 1 to 1.4. And then we have Mangled, the chance increase from 20 to 30 to 30 to 40, so 10% increase there. Seismic Shift, the cooldown is decreased, this used to be 2.5 to 1.5, so it's now 2 to 1, so nice little buff there. Then Blurred Beast, damage increased from 60 to 90 to 70 to 100%, so another 10% over there. Alright, so next up, we have the Necromancer. So the Necromancer changes over here. Start off with Reap, so the base damage increased by 1 whole %, and the Acolyte's Reap's cooldown between corpses has been reduced. This is actually quite nice. This is to spawn the corpse under them. That's the basic skill. Then Decompose, we got a 3% increase in damage here, and then the base essence generated per second got increased by 1, and then corpses formed frequently increased from 2.5 to 2, so more corpses for the Necromancer. Then Hemorrhage, the base damage got increased by 2%, and then essence generated got increased by 1. Then Bone Splinters, another 1 extra essence, and then the base damage got increased by 1%. Separate, the initial base damage is increased from 63 to 66%, and then the Enhanced Sever's return base damage got increased from 25 to 40%, so there's going to be a massive buff over there on that secondary power, huge, and then on top of that, the base damage got increased, and when you start adding this increase with this increase, it's probably going to be much stronger. So Bloodlance, the Supernatural Bloodlance overpower requirement has been reduced from 8 to 6 casts. This actually got a buff. Previously, this is when, like, the deluxe edition, like, we had another change within like 2 or 3 days after the game came out for the early access. This also got another buff previously over there, so maybe Bloodlance will be a little bit better, but I think people are just going to be playing Bone Spear until it gets nerfed. It's just incredibly good right now. Bone Prison, the cooldown got reduced by 2 seconds, and then the Dreadful Bone Prison's Fortify got increased by 3%. Iron Maiden, the base damage got increased from 10 to 20. Horde Iron Maiden damage bonus increased from 15 to 20. I believe this is like for Thorns, so hey, that's going to be nice, especially with the change with the Skeletons actually getting the correct Thorns value, which I mentioned at the start of the video. That's going to be nice. Corpse Tendrils over here. Blight Corpse Tendrils have a chance to spawn a Blood Orb increased from 30 to 35. Then Bone Spikes, the base damage got increased by 40%. That's pretty massive. And then the Raised Skeleton and Golem minions will now always engage targets with a cast curse. So a nice little change with that. It's going to make the minions feel a little bit faster. Especially if you're playing with the curse where you can cast it infinitely and it doesn't cost any resource. It'll be nice for that. And then we have Kalan's Edict. The damage taken during duration requirement has been actually reduced. So this is going to be a nice buff for them as well. And the Rathma's Vigor, the healthy duration requirement reduced from 15 to 12 seconds. I believe this is with the overpower. And then with Spiked Armor, the Thorns increased overall from like 0.8 to 0.1, so that's like a 20-ish% buff overall. Nice stuff. And then Legendary Aspects, the Bursting Bone, the flat damage got increased on that one. Then the Flesh Rendering Essence gain increased from 10 to 20 to 20 to 40. That's doubling the essence. Okay, that's really good. Then Fast Blood, the ultimate cooldown reduction from 0.5 to 1 to 1 to 1.5. This is going to be quite nice. With this is, I believe, when you're collecting the blood orbs, so maybe someone will actually make a build that's around blood that will be able to have this up very, very frequently. So next up, my favorite class, the best class for me to play is the Rogue. So let's see these Rogue changes. So first off, Invigorating Strike, the base damage getting increased by 2%. This is like very small. I don't think anyone's going to be using it base skill for the Rogue. The Blade Shift, the base damage got increased by 1%. This is like a almost nothing. I think that if we want to see people use basic skills in general, we need to see a massive change, which we did get, actually, because I actually checked out this, and I saw that, I was like, that's insane. So the base damage got increased. Now, the primary Heartseeker damage got increased by 45% on top of another 2. In total, that's like 46. I'm not sure if these are going to be kind of considered multiplicative, but maybe someone's going to make a Heartseeker build. I'm definitely going to be trying out some of these like things that maybe allow us to actually play. Like a 45% increase. It's technically 45 plus an additional 2. So that's 47% increase in damage. That basically is a multiple Topaz in the slot. So maybe we'll see some Heartseeker builds. Who knows? Next up, we have Forceful Arrow, 2% increased damage. Barrage getting a increased damage. That's kind of cool as well. And then with Caltrops, the methodical Caltrops chill increased from 20 to 25. This is actually pretty big for hitting the breakpoint of, like, let's say 100. So I think this is going to be a nice change. However, the main problem with Caltrops, even though they've buffed the skill 2 separate times, no one is using it. And the reason why, honestly, comes down to the cast animation. The fact that your character has to actually jump back and it counts as a trap. It should just have the same exact trap animation. If it does, then this will be one of the best skills in the entire game for a trap. But because of the cast animation, people still probably won't want to use it. The smoke grenade, this got a cooldown change of 2 seconds. Okay, not bad. You know, it's a nice buff. Then the rain of arrows, the cooldown reduced from 60 to 55. So that's, again, cooldown reduction is always good. Then prime rain of arrows, imbuement potencies got increased. There is a unique amulet. What is the name of it for the rogue? That maybe some people will try out. It's like the Word of Hakan. It also imbues your rain of arrows with all of them, and since the potency got increased, hey, maybe someone will try to make a build off of it. But because it's on such a long cooldown, because you have to use an amulet that doesn't have cooldown reduction on it, as well as extra movement speed or maybe a resource cost reduction, I still think it's a very hard sell. In fact, most of the uniques are still pretty bad, I'll be honest with this, but there are some buffs, and I'll go over them. Volley, the base damage got increased by a decent amount over here, so the base damage from 70 to 105, and then with the passives, the close quarters combat, the bonus damage got increased from 20% to 30, so 10% bonus over there. And then with the legendary aspect, escape artist, the cooldown got actually decreased. So this is good. This is one where, like, it throws down like grenades, and then you can dodge, like, I think it's up to the next 6 attacks. The cooldown was just 100 seconds was too crazy. 45 seconds, it's still a pretty long amount. But there might be some people that really enjoy this for PvP in particular, to just make you dodge 6 abilities. That's actually pretty big. 45-second cooldown? Maybe. I mean, this is like cut in half for the cooldown. If it was like, honestly, like, you know, if it's like 20 seconds, I could see everyone using it. It is actually pretty solid. At 45, though, maybe against some bosses, it could be okay. But I'd say for PvP, it's actually pretty solid now. Next up, though, Umbrius, the lucky hit chance to gain a Drop Shroud has actually been increased to up to 60%, so a nice little 10% bonus here. So it's 30 to 50 to going to 40 to 60. Then Eyes in the Dark. These are the pants that are like, no one really uses. These are pretty terrible overall. The only use that you would have is if you really want to do some cheese in the game, but if it's the item where it's the pants, and I always get asked this, like, are these pants good? I just got my first unique on the rogue, and I'm like, dude, those are like actually terrible. It makes it so when you use the death trap, the ultimate, it activates itself infinitely until it kills either a small enemy or it hits a boss. So basically, you get to kill one small enemy with this. Is it worth it? Absolutely not. And then it makes your cooldown get increased, and the stats on it are relatively bad. I mean, it does give you dodge chance, damage to elites, damage to enemies affected by trap skills, but like you can get more damage in other areas that are much better to get actually getting life or any sort of damage reduction on the pants. So yeah, this thing is still what I would consider very bad. It would have to go in the other direction. The cooldown would have to be faster instead of making it worse, if that makes any sense. But nonetheless, these pants, I will still think no one will use these. So Sorcerer, let's go into this, because there's actually a few changes with Sorcerer I'm actually kind of excited about. So starting right off the Spark, we got an increase of the base damage. The Enhanced Spark damage got increased to 2%, another like 1.4%. And then Flickering Spark Chance got increased by another 1%. So Frostbolt, extra 3%, that doesn't really matter. 4% on Firebolt probably doesn't matter. Charge Bolt, base damage increased by 2%. A lot of these are like a bunch of nothings, I would say. It's just to change stuff to change stuff. And, you know, overall, I'm still going to take it. I mean, the small extra 5-10 damage in earlier games, hey, maybe it'll matter. Incinerate, the base damage got increased. No one's playing Incinerate as far as I'm aware of. The Enhanced Incinerate bonus damage got increased by another 10%. The greater Incinerate Immobilize requirement got reduced to 3 seconds. People usually want to kill things a lot faster. Waiting to have that Immobilize actually proc and activate is just simply too slow in the game. That's at least my feedback from. Doesn't really matter. Fireball having the mana cost reduction, sure. I actually like Fireball quite a bit. I think it's a pretty okay skill. There are some other changes with Fireball that are pretty nice. So here's Frozen Orb, which was the most like fan favorite skill of Diablo 2 for me. So the initial base damage got increased by 4%. Explosion base damage got increased by another 5%. So we have the base damage, and on top of that, the explosions base damage. So that's a 4% increase on top of a 5. Okay, so that's like a 9% increase overall. And then the greater frozen orb chance to apply vulnerability got increased by another 5%. Is this enough to make me not play ice shards? Absolutely not. You'd have to basically double the damage or reduce the cost of frozen orb. That's basically the huge problem with frozen orb compared to some of the other options that are available with Blizzard. Right now, Blizzard as well as ice shards are the two like fan favorites, and Blizzard surprisingly actually got a buff. I was not expecting that at all. 10% increase. No nerfs though, which is excellent. So yeah, I don't think Frozen Orb is going to be good, but I'll test it. I actually already have all of the aspects. I have everything ready for Frozen Orb because I was expecting it to get buffed, and while it did get buffed, I want more. Like the numerical values need to be more, and if they reduce the mana cost by 5, I would say, ooh, this is actually looking a lot better because there's an aspect that can give you extra mana. But nonetheless, I think Frozen Orb sadly is still not going to be like in the king spot for like DPS. Anyways, next up, Ice Blade. Chance to apply vulnerability increase. I like this. This is a nice buff for people that are messing around with Ice Blades. And then Lightning Spear, the Summon Spear's maximum damage bonus got increased from 100 to 160, so 60%. Cool. Crackling Energy got the base damage increased by 20%. Maybe this could be actually pretty good. I mean, 5% increase. There's a lot of other things that will benefit off of Crackling Energy that give you more damage. Now that you can scale this, and a 5% base damage increase is actually pretty big in the game, especially when you're increasing it by other numerical stats. Could be something to look out for. Freezing Wake, the base damage got increased by a decent amount. And then the legendary aspects to the Abundant Energy. This is chance to chain additional enemy got increased. I don't think this one is Chain Lightning, though. This is with that little like a Crackling Energy. I was really hoping to see a Chain Lightning buff, but Singed Extremes, the slow amount got increased over here. Incendiary chance to restore mana increased. This could be actually pretty good. I believe this is like from a burning enemy, so almost double, going from 10 to 17%. That's not bad. Snow Guards, we got the damage reduction increased by 10%, and then concentration mana regeneration increased from 10 to 20 to 20 to 30. So a nice little buff there. Then Flame Scar, these are I believe these are the uniques for the Sorceress. So Flame Scar over here, this is Incinerate. It periodically shoots out embers that deal some sort of amount of damage. This got increased by like 50%, so if you roll like a pretty decent one, this could be something to look out for. Most people don't want to play the channel ability, but they did buff it, and they buffed it over here as well, so I'm hoping this will be good. I feel like a lot of the uniques in this game feel super underwhelming considering it's unique, so hopefully these will all get buffed. And then we have another unique buff called the Staff of Lim Isin. This damage reduction got reduced, so that's an increase in damage, okay? So for that to make sense, I have to show you the item. So what this does is it makes it so the charge bolts pierce, but they deal less damage, so it's 30 to 40% less damage, but now they've cut that down, so at the higher end you have like a 5% increase in damage. Does this really matter? I don't think so. I think the uniques overall need a massive buff. We did get some in here, like with the Sorceress, but I still think it needs to be changed. These uniques do feel like they need to feel like it's super awesome to play, because getting a unique to drop, it's super exciting. Then you look at it and it's like the Eyes in the Dark pants. Like the same thing with, even though the Eyes in the Dark got buffed for the Rogue, and technically the Word of Hakan kind of receives a buff indirectly with the Rain of Arrows imbuement bonus properties. I want to see more changes over here. That's at least my personal thoughts, but a massive win overall. This is probably one of the best patches because it's overall bug fixes, and on top of that, more XP. You can go to the dungeons immediately. Would love to know your thoughts on this patch down below. I obviously thought it was really awesome, but I want to see buffed uniques. Anyways, that's it for, and there's, by the way, in terms of drop chance, there's no increased drop chance of Shaco. I know that was a hot topic in the community yesterday. People were like, dude, I'm going to buff the drops with this patch, and I was like, I don't think so. They want them to keep them super rare. Anyways, if you are brand new here and do want to see more Diablo updates, hit subscribe, turn the bell, check the pinned comment for more, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.